Your friends, your friends. Radio friends again. Radio friends again. We've got a lot to share.
Well, welcome to another edition of Radio Friends again. The 18th of October, looking out here from Berlin, Connecticut, out over the veranda, or if you're in Florida, the lanai, I don't know, whatever. And foliage out there, nice morning. Angela's away, so I don't have to wear any pants, which is one of my favorite things not to do. And we have got a great group of people out there this morning on the 18th of October, 2024. Let's look around the room. We've got Dave Nagel is here. Dave, how you doing this morning?
Beautiful. Just enjoying a wonderful morning.
All right. Where are you? Plainville, or where are you?
Plainville, yeah. It's pretty much the same foliage you get to see. I'm getting to see right now. It's gorgeous right now.
Bob Craig is here. Good morning, Bob. How are you doing?
Yes, doing well here from Philadelphia, the home of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and Teddy Pendergrass, Patti LaBelle, John Coltrane, Dee Dee Sharp, Chubby Checker, Bobby Rydell,
MFSP.
Stan Getz. You want me to go on and on and on?
Fabian.
What do you live at the old musician's home?
What's that?
You must live at the old musician's home.
Ron Pell is here. Good morning, Ron. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Nice morning this morning. I was out early and got to run in, and beautiful day.
Yeah, great day for that. You going to run in the marathon this weekend or what?
No, I can't do marathon anymore. No, I'd love to, but age and injury has taken its toll.
Oh, yeah. I can actually use that excuse now. Anyways, let's see. We've got the judges here.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm here this morning in the Connecticut Sanctuary for Mistreated Disc Jockeys.
Dave Overson. Hi, Dave.
Hello. It's kind of a cool day here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, but still nice. Very nice. I was going to go on the lanai, but Mary Lou's sitting on the lanai, so I says, I think I'll go inside, the inside show.
Jim Harrington's hi.
What is cool in Florida, Dave? I mean, what is your cool? Like 75?
Oh, no. It gets down to 68.
Does it?
That's my house.
Sometimes 62.
Does it really?
Yeah, that's when I have to put the hat on, the snow boots and everything.
Wow. Bob Marks is here. Bart Mazzarella. I call him Bob Marks.
Morning, Steve. I'm here from Vero Beach, the former spring training home of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're here for, I think, 60 years.
They looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, they did.
Tracy Carmen, good morning to you.
Good morning from beautiful Long Meadow, Mass. I've already done my gym run. I'm discovering how old I am when I try to do some stuff I used to be able to do at the gym, and my body says, forget about it. But nice cool morning here. Enjoying my Dunkin' iced coffee. Already been outside fixing my garden lights. God, I'm so domestic in my old age.
Don't you love it? As we look forward to our gardens and our bird feeders. Let's see. We've got John Landers here.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Moved back from the lake this week, just yesterday, in fact.
So you're back up in Marlboro, right?
No, in Middletown.
Oh, God, I guess as soon as I never get that one right. Ed Bruder, hi, Ed.
Everybody from southern New Hampshire, although I must point out that in northern New Hampshire, on Mount Washington, they have plowed 17 inches of snow this week.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
And we actually have a two-man team this morning, and that's Bill Rock is here, and he's brought his grandson with one of the coolest names I've ever heard in my life, and that's Chance Dillon. So that's his Bill's technical support. Good morning to you, Bill.
Morning from the shores of Long Island Sound, where I reside.
Good. And you tell us a little bit about Chance Dillon.
Well, Chance is he's only 15, but he's brilliant, and he taught me how to do all this stuff. I grew up in the days of analog as opposed to digital, and it rolls off his back. It's just he's very good with it, and he's quite strapping as a young man, and helps me out in a lot of things, and a lot of physical things with the house too.
Nice group of folks here. One of the things before, Bill has been struggling with his voice a lot of times in the morning. I know a lot of guys do. Dick Robinson is a perfect example. Dick called me the other day because he was on the phone with with the storm coming into Florida, he was talking to his gang down in Palm Beach at Legends Radio, and so he spoke to him for like 2 hours. Next thing you know, he's calling me. And it's because he got the voice warmed up a little bit, and he, along with some other folks, were inducted into the Connecticut Broadcasters Hall of Fame a couple of nights ago over at the AquaTurf in Southington. And they had almost 300 people show up from the Connecticut broadcasting scene, which was nice. This was their first annual one. They're going to try to do it as a presentation every year and get caught up a bit on where they should be and get some of our men and women in there that it's long overdue. So we're going to do that. So I thought, Bill, if you want to tell us a little bit, I know between Bill and Dave and Chance, we're going to try to drop in some live video. We don't, anything can happen and probably will. Fire trucks and ambulances will be standing by. So maybe you can tell us a little bit, Bill, if you can, about what you've brought along with you. And Dave, is there? You don't need anything done in a certain way or a certain order and anything on your end, do you, Dave?
Nope. I'm all set.
All right. So, Bill, you want to give it a shot?
As a matter of fact, I think it'd be a good idea to do that first because you can hear my voice and you can see where I worked, what I did. And the first piece of audio I have is what I call radio tidbits. They were just some snippets that kind of at random. Some of them were a little better than others, but they give you an idea of the depth of the things that I did in the diversity of the things that I did. At the same time, I had 17 different employers over my life. And the last full-time gig I had was WNBC in 1974 through 77. But I remember one day I was talking to my friend who I used, as a matter of fact, as a voice man for WMEX. He was at WLS for a number of years, Freddie Winston. And he was saying, I'll never work for one employer again. This is back in 77, 78, when I was talking to him about it. And he gave me an idea to start my own business, basically. But what I have is some of these radio things that I think that I'd like to play for you. And we'll give that a shot now.
This is Timmy Carr from Brooklyn.
Hey, Timmy, how are you?
I'm a cop. I was in the radio car.
Oh, really? You're on duty tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Did you, wear the long underwear tonight and stuff?
Yeah. Always do with this weather.
Maybe you could put a sock over your nightstick or something. Keep it warm.
You're funny.
Hi, this is Bill Rock, and welcome to another edition of Motor City Beat over the United Stations Radio Network. Dropping by our studios to visit this week will be Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson. Sound of the Doobies, the long train running on the U.S. Hall of Fame with Bill Rock all across America, coast to coast, Alaska and Hawaii via satellite. And this is Elton John. Week-long festival, Country Takes Manhattan, was presented in part by Chevy Truck. Thanks for joining us for this unprecedented series of concerts live from New York City, exclusively on the Westwood One Radio Network.
If you just joined us, this is WNBC's last day ever on the air. Cousin Brucey was here, Ted Brown, Big Wilson, Buffalo Bob Smith, and joining us in the studio now, another former voice from WNBC, Bill Rock.
Should I do the ID?
Radio, now do it the way you did it.
66. 50,000 watts, clear channel. This is the flagship station of the National Broadcasting Company, WNBC, New York. 66 WNBC. Millennium with the Backstreet Boys will continue on the SFX Radio Network. Today is December 7th, and this is a day in the country. My broken heart. Reba McEntire ruled the charts on this day in 1991 with For My Broken Heart. In 1994, George Strait had the top song with The Big One. And Ricky Van Shelton had the #1 song in 1987 with Somebody Live.
Nothing but the king of rock and roll. Commercial-free all day. Elvis Radio is here on Sirius.
Live from Graceland, the home of the king of rock and roll all across America. You're listening to the debut of the world's first nationally broadcast all Elvis radio station on Sirius Satellite Radio. The excitement and the humidity are in the air. My name is Bill Rock.
It's the marvelous Motown Weekend. Motown. 101.1 WCBS FM. New York.
Well, actually, it's Cousin Billy tonight. Bill rocking for Cousin Brucey in the greatest city in the world. Boy, have I got some great stuff for you tonight. We got your requests and dedications. And we also have a marvelous Motown weekend all weekend long right here on CBS FM.
With Cousin
CBS FM. Who do I have on the phone with you right now?
Oh, Bill Rock?
Yes, who's this?
This is Anthony.
Anthony Primo! Anthony, you still got that monkey?
Yeah, of course I still got that monkey. You want to speak to him?
You still spanking him?
Sure, I'm still spanking. Hey, come here, monkey. Bill Rock is on the phone. He wants to talk to you. Hey, Bill Rock. How are you?
Anthony, what can I play for you tonight on the Cousin Brucey Saturday Night Party?
Man, I like to hear a song by Stevie Wonder. I just called to say I love you.
New Year's Day.
What a fabulous career, Bill.
Wow. Wow.
He's still spanking that monkey.
He was actually a listener to me on WYNY.
Wow.
And he called me when I was on CBS FM and just out of the blue. And he used to have this monkey that he used to have. And so that's why I came up with it. He's still spanking.
Great
him.
line.
Now, Bill, I got to ask you a question, and only because there's so many people that have, had multiple employers. 17 is quite a scene. Can you look back at that as far as how many did you walk out and how many did they walk you out?
I won't go through all 17.
Huh?
Well, I'm kind of concentrating on my New York stuff now, but WWDJ was the first place I went. I came out of that. What happened was the WWDJ had gone off the air, and it was originally WJRZ, and they were trying to go after WMC and WABC. It was owned by Pacific Southern, so they actually just the whole station went off. So that doesn't count. At NBC, I went through four program directors, including myself at one point. It was John Lund. I became program director after that. The interim program director. So we hired Mel Phillips, and then Bob Pittman came in and destroyed the whole station. Basically fired everybody. He fired Imus and put his girlfriend Ellie Dillon on, and the station tanked. From there, I went to work at WELI in New Haven. Originally, they were looking for an operations manager, and I knew that they were going to blow up WNBC, so I decided to kind of get one step ahead. Before I was shown the door like the rest of them, I got another job first and became an operations manager of the station. And it was an interesting thing because it was in a market where it was dominant for many years. But the problem is it had mostly over 55 ratings. So what my charge was to keep the numbers and to bring down the demographics. And we did it with contemporary music. It was adult contemporary, which would change from middle of the road, and a lot of features and a lot of community service promotions, and a lot of contemporary talk. I hired Walt Pinto to do mornings, or not mornings, middays. Prince.
Oh, McDonough?
Yeah. Dick McDonough do afternoons.
I remember that.
It was a good place to work. The management was very generous. Dick got sick with colitis and was out for 6 months right after I hired him. Yeah. They paid him full salary.
Was that Larry Getz, Bill? Was Larry Getz the manager? Yeah, a nice guy, real good guy.
Frank Moore was the manager before that, because I know you were competitors at that time. But I had a talk show which was a little more interesting than most of them shows at the time. Then they came to me and wanted to know if I wanted to be group program director for the group for the Silco stations. We had two in Oklahoma City, KTOK and KZUE. KTOK was a news talk, and also adult contemporary. KZUE, which is a great set of callers. KZUE was the top 40. In New Orleans, we had WGSO, which was news talk, and WQUE, which is top 40. In Miami, we had WVCG and WYOR. They were both actually beautiful music, although YOR was more of an adult contemporary. And I had hired Julian Breen, who was the former assistant program director of WABC, to program that. He hired Roby Young. Unfortunately, Roby Young had an alcohol problem and crashed his car into a front of a beauty parlor, and that was the end of his career, at least for working for us. And then in Connecticut, we had KISS in Hartford and WELI in New Haven. And we did a lot of promotional things together as a group, and we also did a lot of things that were program-oriented as a group. But that was a great experience. They also had me go to various markets like Denver and Washington and Atlanta to monitor the markets and see if there was a niche that had not been used and not been satisfied, where they could buy a station and go up competitively against them. And another thing that was good about that is whenever they flew me, wherever I went, it was always first class. And I remember I used to love to go to Miami because Frank Moore was down there at that point. And I used to get a car and go to this Nesta Beach at Keys Biscayne. And during the day, I would rent a sailboat with a transistor radio, and I'd listen to the stations. And that night we'd have dinner. I'd do critiques of them. It was just a great experience. But I also realized at that point that even though I had done 4 jobs as program director, I really didn't want to be in middle management. I'd rather be performing.
Mm-hmm.
My wife said to me, she said, "You're really miserable." I said, "Well, why? What are you talking about?" You really want to do it. You don't want to tell everybody else how to do it. So she said, "Why don't you start your own company?" So I said, "Well, what the hell am I going to do?" She said, "Well, what can you do?" I said, "Well, I can record radio commercials and do that." So I started the company by doing radio commercials and radio shows. In fact, the first show that I did was Yale New Haven Hospital had a thing called Health and Lifestyle. And then I went into doing audio for and narrations for multi-image shows. Those are the multiple projectors that fired off in sequence that just looked like motion before video. Then I started doing those. I bought some equipment and just kept expanding the company. Then I was doing audio for video. I started doing video, and I started doing TV shows. I did 5 TV shows, and they aired on ESPN and also public television. I even did some work for ABC TV, which was, believe it or not, the first TV show I did was called Jeff Keith's Run Across America. And I won a silver medal from the International Television Film Festival for that. And did a couple more. And if we have time later on, I'll just play some snippets from those things too.
Hey, Bill, Bill, one of my big curiosities is only because of the fact it's the nature of it. You know, I remember Sally Jesse Raphael one time saying she was, fired from like 25 out of 27 radio jobs or something like that. A huge amount that she was hired at and a huge amount she got fired at. Were you always moving from one gig to the other because you heard about it? Did you have an agent? Or, I mean, how did all these different things keep coming your way? And how did you keep like reinventing yourself without going, oh, crap, again? I mean, what's been your motivation? And plus a family moving around all the place. So, get me an idea how you move through all this stuff.
Oh, the first several stations that I worked for, I went through on the last time I was on the air. We were on the show with you 2 weeks ago. And that was me as a single guy moving around primarily. And then I was married the first time. That didn't last too long. But I really basically, and that my mindset there was to get into a larger market, get a little more money, but mostly get a little more cachet so that I could go to New York, which is where I wanted to go. And that was the motivation behind that. Once I got to New York, I became a known commodity, and all this stuff came to me. I didn't go to it; it came to me. And Joe McCoy hired me at CBS FM. I was hired directly by Rick Buckley to do WOR. Dave Nagel hired me to do DRC.
Pleasure working with you when we were both able to do that, Bill.
You were great to work with, and I really enjoyed that. I followed Dan Ingram and preceded to Charlie Tuna, so I felt I was in pretty good company.
Hey, Bill, before you lose your voice, I mean, the big thing like Ed Bruder brought up and everything, I mean, you're just, such a pioneer behind Sirius and, of course, Elvis Radio, and you were everywhere. I mean, down at Graceland and all that. That had to be fantastic. And you can't even imagine the listeners and the followings you had with Elvis Radio. Can you give us just a bit of that while your voice is still holding up, Bill?
Well, originally I was working at WYNY, and my friend who coincidentally was doing 70s on 7, and Ray Rossi was his name. Ray used to work at PLJ, and he also worked at YNY. And he said they were looking for an imaging voice for 70s on 7. So I went in and they hired me to do that. And then Jay Clark was hired shortly after that. And Jay and I had lunch. Jay and I had worked together at WTRY, then again at Windstar. He said, "Would you like to come to work for us?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "How about 60s?" He said, "You got it." So I was one of the original people to work on 60s vibrations. And then shortly after that, they hired Steve Blatter, who was an intern on my show at YNY. He became vice president of all music programming. And he said to Jay, I want Bill Rock on Prime Country. So we did that. I did mornings on Prime Country, and I did afternoons on 60s Vibrations. And then Walter Sabo said he wanted me on Channel 5, which is 50s. So I went from Channel 6 to Channel 5. And then they came to me, to answer your question, in February of 2004 and said there was Greg Steele, Jay Clark, Walter Sabo. I said, "We're going to do something that's totally revolutionary we've never done before. It's going to be really big, and we can't tell you about it. We want to do it." I said, "Well, what am I going to do?" He said, "Well, you're going to have to travel a little bit. You're going to do a remote. But we won't be able to tell you about it until it just happens." So this was in February. So 2 weeks before July 2nd, they came to me and said, the company is going in a whole new direction as far as programming. You're going to be the very first to start the first single artist channel that we have on Sirius. It's going to be Elvis Radio. We're going to fly into Memphis, and you're going to do 4 days of a show. You're going to be the first one that's hired for this. And they treated me very well. I stayed at the Peabody, and paid very well too. And it coincided with the 50th anniversary of rock and roll. So there was literally press from the entire world. I mean, I've never seen so many press people, cameras and mics and press people. And so I did that. There was no format. I did the format. I basically put it together. And then they said they wanted me to program it. I said, "No, I'm not going to move to Memphis," because I was working at NBC at the time. And I said, "What I'll do is I'll do a weekend show. I'd like to do a specialty show on Saturday nights." They said, "Fine." So I did that originally, I recorded originally on Sirius Studios in New York. Then I had my own studio, which I had put together for my own production company back in 1980. So I started recording it from there. And I had complete reign of doing whatever I wanted to do. And what I did was I designed it after what I did in New York at YNY, which was the Saturday Night Country Club. This was called Bill Rock's Saturday Night Elvis Memories. And for every record, there was a phone call. The difference was in New York, we did it live, and we did it without any delay. And I had a couple of very interesting situations, which I won't get into at this point. Contrary to what when I was doing the Saturday night show on Elvis Radio, we had a line that you could call for phone calls, and I would solicit the phone calls the week before, and I'd say, "I have so many calls that if you want to call and record one, go ahead," because I couldn't do them live because it wasn't set up for that. So I had an entire week. I put 4 days into preparation for the one show I did on Saturday nights. And it obviously made some kind of an impression, because to this day, I still get email. You see a lot of times when I post on Facebook. I had a lot of listeners and a lot of followers to that show. But we do themes. I do Elvis Memories, and we would do phone calls, and a lot of times I would have guests. I had free reign to pick people who were still alive that were associated with Elvis, and it worked out very well. It was a popular show. I learned a lot about Elvis. I did the show for 18 years, and when I was concurrently doing NBC, I did NBC Television Network for 27 years. Would you like to hear what I did for NBC? It's a short thing. It's only 2 minutes.
Hey, listen, if we can make it happen like the last one, I'm just keeping my hands off of this computer. I'm giving it all back to chance. So I haven't touched anything since the last one, so hopefully we can go.
Tonight's special all-new episode of Friends will be seen in its entirety, following the President's address to the nation, right here on NBC. A U.S. stealth fighter pilot crashing behind enemy lines, the race to rescue him, and the amazing story of how they got him out alive. NBC Nightly News tonight.
Don't miss The Fleecing of America, tonight on NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. This is an NBC News special report.
This is live coverage of the President's State of the Union address from NBC News. Here is Brian Williams.
Dateline with Jane Pauley and Stone Phillips. Tomorrow on Today on NBC.
The Today Show's Michael Jackson exclusives. First, the secret audio tapes.
This is Weekend Magazine with Stone Phillips. In this edition, Hardball with Chris Matthews.
That's it, boys.
Welcome to the big leagues. A salute to Prince William on a special Headliners and Legends. This is a special presentation of Imus in the Evening on MSNBC. This is Market Week with Maria Bartiromo. This is CNBC's Business Center. The Senior PGA Tour on CNBC. The stakes are higher. The field is stronger. Some of golf's greatest names compete on some of the world's most exclusive courses.
Tonight's musical guest is brought to you by Budweiser True Music. Your music, your beer.
Saturday Night Live Christmas 2003. Download SNL sketches and music from Maroon 5 on iTunes. America's Got Talent is sponsored in part by Orville Redenbacher's new ready-to-eat popcorn. The Apprentice is presented by the Chrysler Crossfire. The West Wing is sponsored in part by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. And will not be seen this evening, but will return next Wednesday. Now, NBC kicks off the holiday season live from New York City with Christmas in Rockefeller Center. Law and Order is sponsored in part by the next Ford F-150. Kate Hepburn remembered. Here is Katie Couric. NBC's presentation of It's a Wonderful Life is sponsored in part by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Now, so Bill, you mentioned NBC and you mentioned Imus and stuff. Did you have a chance to deal with Imus or deal with Stern or any of those guys over there?
Well, I have a trillion, well, that's maybe exaggerating by a lot, but I have a lot of stories about Imus. But the very first time I met Imus, it was, they had hired me to do, I did Dick Summer's show for the first week. And then after that, I was hired to do production. I did a lot of production for NBC. But about 2 days after being back during the day, he met me by coming up to me in the hallway. And he called me RCB because then he called me Radio City Bill. And that was his nickname for me, RCB. RCB, why don't you do me a favor? By the way, I'm Imus. I said, okay, nice to meet you, Mr. Imus. He reaches in his wallet, his pocket, and he pulls out a wad of $100 bills and peels off 8 of them and says, I got a new album called This Hunky's Nuts. I want you to take it home, listen to it, write a spot, and record it for me, which I did. Well, I learned a couple of years later, we had a roast for Imus, and we was at his restaurant in Manhattan called Imus. We had plastic cactuses and so forth, cacti. And he was the moderator of his own roast, and he introduced me as the guy who made more money doing the commercials than he made on residuals. I found out that was true. They never paid him any residuals. He was recorded on Bang Records. But one of the things, I used to do a lot of promotion for him, like for Ronald American and a number of other things that he had put together for his show. But anyway, he said, I used to be on 6 to 8 on Saturday mornings, and he was on from 8 to noon. Invariably, more times than not, he would call me in quarter days and RCB, I ain't coming in. And he'd hang up. So I had 2 shows. He says, this guy made a living off of me not coming in when he used to introduce me to people. But there's a lot of Imus stories that I remember one time we were in lunch and he thanked me for doing the record and he signed it and gave it to me. And I said something like, thank you. He goes, you make me nervous. He got him walked out. He expected me to fall all over him, I guess.
Hey, Bill, I have a question about the production of all those voiceovers you did. You just announced that you didn't have any say on the production of that, and how many people would be involved in the production?
So if you're NBC or for the radio?
No, for anything there, with all the
radio stuff, I did a lot myself.
You selected the music and the sounders.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. Well, I had a production company and I had all the things at my disposal to do that. The TV was strictly voiceover. That was just written scripts. And there was a lot of people involved. There was the producer, engineers involved, and there was all the people in management. Originally, I had worked for the news department. I became the voice of NBC News. And then after a few years, the sales department came to me and they wanted to use me for all of the billboards. Originally, Howard Reed was doing the NBC Nightly News, and I replaced Howard. And Fred Facey died, and he was doing all the billboards, so they hired me to do all the billboards. And it's interesting, I met Lauren Michael in the men's room on the 8th floor. And I said to him jokingly, when Don Parlow kicks off, I want his gig. Anyway, he remembered that, and he hired me to do the Saturday Night Live. I did following the musical guest for 18 years. It was the last thing that I did for them. But then when MSNBC went on the air in 2004, I'm sorry, 1996, I was hired as the first announcer for MSNBC. It was a lot different than today than it was back then, but I was the voice of NBC News and MSNBC, and I also did CNBC. And I was working for also on MSNBC. It was the exclusive announcer for Stone Phillips on wasn't Headliners Legends. It was Weekend Magazine, which was basically the Dayline repurposed.
Bill, how much did you do live? How many of those breaks did you do live?
They were all recorded.
All recorded.
The way I got the gig at NBC was interesting. I was working at WYNY, and they were bought up by Evergreen, and basically what happened is they destroyed the station and they made it WKTU. So I knew this was coming. See, as a program director, I knew I could read program directors. I went through 13 of them when I was at WYNY. So I knew when trouble was brewing, it was better to get the hell out than to be thrown out. I got a call from Harry Tucker, who was the guy who recorded the original videotape of the last day of WNBC on the air. And he says he went from, when they sold the radio division, he went to television. And he worked in television doing all the audio for them. He called me and said, NBC's been looking for a voice for the news department, and especially nightly news with Brokaw. And they've gone through about 25 guys already, and they're all the big top names in voiceover. I think you could do this. I said, well, I think so too. So he said, let me talk to the producer. I forgot what her name was, but he talked to her for a couple of weeks, and I called him back and said, I hate to push you because you've done this as a favor of me, but can you find out any more about this? He goes, I'll ask her again. So she said to him, all right, bring your little friend in, we'll listen to him. So I went there, and what they did was they put me in the studio, gave me a copy. I think I did 2 takes of it. They said, okay, fine. What does that mean? He said, well, we're going to put it on the air over the weekend. The people on the West Coast have to listen to it, as well as the people on the East Coast. And Brokaw has to sign off on it himself too. So I said, okay. And I came, they said, come in. They called me and said, come in Monday. I did. And they said, we want you to do another spot. I did another spot. I said, well, do I have a job or what? And they said, well, just hang on. So I went downstairs to the second floor where they do the editing and the post-production for this stuff. And the vice president of promotion for NBC came in and said, go see so-and-so and make a deal, you're hired. But yeah.
So you had to go in and cut your own deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one that I know that works in New York who's never had a manager and never had an agent. So I saved 15% on all the work I did for 27 years.
And you must have known pretty much where the going rates were around that time in order to do that, right?
It was like $250 a spot, $250 for a promo. Most money I ever made was in one day was when Flight 800, which was the Pan Am flight that crashed off of Long Island. Wow. They called me in. This is before ISDN and before using the internet. I cut so many promos. I got $16,000 in one day. That was an unusual day, though. That wasn't the way it happened all the time.
I was at WMEX in Boston in 1971. I got fired by Tom Allen, and shortly after that, you came in and replaced him. And then I don't think you were there very long. What was the deal there? What was the deal with Dick Richmond and Tom Allen, that whole deal at MEX in Boston?
A chance you're going to have to fill in if he's not there, so get ready. Chance Dillon is Bill's grandson who's helping us out this morning, all of 15 years old. God bless you, Chance. Thanks a lot for giving us a hand.
Yeah, thank you.
That mystery goes on for me then.
I worked at MEX in 73 for about 6 months.
So
and
you
finally, I was there.
Who was the PD, Jim?
Bill Rock, God bless him.
And Dick Richmond, was he around then?
Oh yeah.
I've got a big through. I've got John Lund's tapes here, his archives.
I'm just glad it wasn't Max. I heard some incredible stories about his brother Max Richmond.
Well, at least Max had a real love of radio, and he hired John Garabedian. And Garabedian did some very unusual things and was the only PD at MEX ever to beat RKO after RKO went Dre.
Was Art Simmers there when you were as GM?
Yes, he was. Art Simmers was there.
Yeah.
Not a friend. Not a friend.
No. Yeah, I mean, thank God for Bill. Bill was like a buffer. You know, you enjoyed working with Bill. There were other people that had made it difficult.
Chuck Martin has some great Art Simmers stories. You know, Simmers and Tom Allen both fired me for sending in a 4-page analysis of things that I thought were wrong with the station.
That doesn't really
How
count.
dare you?
Don't do that again.
Yes. Criticize
We got Bill
the
back.
station.
Okay, Bill.
It's going to be a nightmare for you, Dave. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. No, that
We were just talking about MEX.
Oh, that was a colorful era. You and I talked about it last time.
What was the deal there? Why did Tom Allen get fired? You must have replaced him directly because he fired me. And what was the deal? Did they ever have a chance after you got there, or was it always just a downhill run from there?
It's interesting. I was working for Art Simmers at WTRY as a program director, and Dick Richmond was not happy with the station, what was going on. Apparently the numbers weren't that great. And Tom Allen was the program director.
Yeah, terrible.
Both Art Simmers and I had decided that we wanted to keep him on because he had a great voice, and I kept him on to do middays.
He was there middays.
We made some real inroads, and especially teens and 18 to 24 against RKO.
One of the things that I said, I had submitted this 4-page dossier of things that I thought were wrong with the station, and they had a really old-fashioned sound, like they sounded like WBZ from the days when BZ was rock, and they were trying like, hey, kiddies, listen to this brand new song. You're really going to like it. And it was kind of like that. And RKO is just killing them. And, you know, that was part of my dossier. And then I gave it to Dick Richmond, who seemed to take a liking to me. He gave it to Art Simmers. Art Simmers gave it to Tom Allen, and I got fired. You guys
Richmond
know how
was
that
very
works.
difficult to work for. He was about 84 or 85 years old, and he had always been in the furniture business. His brother Mac never let him to the radio station until he died, so that he had access to it, and not only that, but he owned it. And he listened to everything that went on the air, and he had no understanding whatsoever of top 40.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I did phasing. What I did was I had Freddie Winston to do the top of the hour ID, and I doubled it up so it echoed in reverse, and then add phasing on it. This was happening in those days. It was before there was actually machines to do it. We used to do it from one tape machine to another, slightly out of phase. I did that at NBC too. And he says, "What's that noise?" How do you explain what that noise was? That noise was something that was contemporary sounding. And as far as the jocks are concerned, I hired Jim, and I also hired Gary DeGrade. So what they sounded like on
Gary
DRC,
DeGrade, wasn't it? Gary DeGrade, wasn't it?
Gary DeGrade, Gary.
Yep.
But what we sounded like was what Jim and Gary sounded like, which was DRC.
Yeah.
In fact, well, I ended up hiring 5 people from Charlie. It was Jim and Gary DeGrade.
Thanks a lot.
What did Charlie say, Bill?
And then there was Dick McDonough, and then Lon Landis I hired as a news director.
What did Charlie say to you? What did Charlie say to you when
Jesus Christ, stop stealing my guys.
Hey, I've got a question for Chance Dillon. Chance, I want to find out from you, what do you think of your grandfather's career?
It's amazing. He's done so much in his career.
He's also been a good guy too, Chance.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
That doesn't always happen in this business, you know. I mean, it doesn't always happen in this business where, you know, people have success and keep their wits about them, you know, and you did.
One of the reasons that I had come back to Connecticut, and I wanted to come back to Connecticut so I could spend more time with my family, and I had built the studio. I stopped going to New York in about mid 2000s, 2005, something like that. And I could do it all from my house, so I did that. I was able to watch Chance grow up and his two brothers and his three cousins. So I had missed out with my own children because I spent so much time doing my career that.
Didn't you also, were you also the Commodore of the boating, the yacht club or something down in New Haven, or were you something to do with the water, right?
Concurrently with all this other stuff I was doing, I was also very active in volunteer work. I was the commander of Flotilla 24-2, and I became the vice captain of Division 24 and the district staff officer for public relations for all of the New York metropolitan area for the Coast Guard. And I've got 30 years in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. I had a 34-foot Marine Trader, which is a trawler yacht, and it was used as a Coast Guard facility. A Coast Guard Auxiliary would volunteer their boats. If they were capable of doing that, they'd have to be examined by the Coast Guard. You had to be crew qualified in order to operate them. And we used to do a lot of night missions on my boat because I had all the electronics at the time. I had, before there was GPS, we used to use Loran, and I had one of the few new GPS units. I had a forward-looking depth finder. I used to use echo, ultrasound, and so forth. But anyway, then I became the chairman of the Waterfront Commission, which I've been for 25 years. And I also was on Houstonic Estuaries Commission, the Long Island Sound Council, and another advisory board for it all had to do with maritime stuff. So they took. I still, as a matter of fact, I still am the chairman of the vice of the Waterfront Commission.
Can't keep a good man down.
I don't know how I found all the time to do it.
That's for sure.
I used to sleep on the train when I used to go to New York, and I
a lot of people did.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bill, we have really worn you thin this morning, Bill. And I mean, you've been able to hold on to your pipes for, oh man, almost an hour. That's that's asking a lot of you, and I thank you for that, because I know with my dad, he had that paralyzed vocal cord for the last 10 years of his life, and I know it takes a lot to push, and I can tell, through your breaths and everything else, it's a lot to push that out there, and that I don't even know how you can recall all of this stuff. I unbelievable how you can remember all this stuff, but I really I thank you. Is there anything you wanted to include, Bill, before we let you get a break?
I have a little 3-minute piece that has snippets from 3 of the TV shows that I produced. Let me tell you what.
You want to see if you can fire that up, Chance?
Let me just let you know what you're going to see. The first is the opening to a documentary that I did called Jeff Keith's Run Across America, which I won the silver medal for from the International Television Film Festival. That was also used partially for Libby's Believe It or Not on ABC. The second piece is actually from a pilot. I had a number of major stars. It's called Big City Country. It was basically reflecting what the country music scene was like in large cities like New York. Shot in New York and also in Nashville and Boston and Pittsburgh and a few other cities. But the piece that I took was the piece of me on WYNY, and it's kind of self-explanatory. That part just it says how radio is so important to country music. The last one is the one that Dave is familiar, Dave Overson. I did it for ESPN. I had gone to ESPN and wanted to do a show about aviation because I'm very aviation oriented. My father's in the New Jersey Aviation Hall of Fame. My son is a pilot for JetBlue, but aviation was always in my blood. And so I had a copy of Sports Illustrated, and the cover was the Thunderbirds. So I said, "You call yourself the Total Sports Network?" He said, "Yeah." And I took the magazine, slapped it down his desk, and said, "Do you got that?" He goes, "No, we don't." So that's how I put that whole show together. That was the only time I ever did it on camera, but that's what that is. I'll go ahead and show it to you here.
I'd also like to say hello to Donna and Bruce Keith, whose son Jeff is undertaking a courageous task to raise money for the American Cancer Society. Jeff, as you probably all know, is running from Boston to Los Angeles, and Nancy and I met him on Monday in Kansas City, where I'd gone for a little fracas of my own.
His name is Jeff Keith. On Christmas Eve of 1974, at age 12, his right leg was amputated due to cancer. 10 years later, he would set out to do what no one else has ever done. Jeff would become the first amputee to successfully run across America from Boston to Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Broadway in New York City, it's Saturday Night with Bill Rock on America's most listened to country radio station.
Hillbilly Rock, WYNY, New York.
Radios all over America's large cities are now tuning into country music, the same way they used to listen to Top 40 back in the 50s and 60s.
There ain't nothing wrong with the radio. She needs a carburetor.
Even the proverbial New York cabbies are listening. In fact, several have country radio on in their cab while they're working.
It seems like a lot of my passengers also listen to country music, which really surprised me. I get a lot of people, some people will be sitting back there and they'll start singing along with a song, and they would be the Wall Street executive that I would never expect would be into country music.
Saturday night here in New York City. Who I have on the telephone with me right now?
John, the tank truck driver.
John, the tank truck driver. Where are you driving tonight, John?
I'm on my way to Patterson, New Jersey, Bill.
Patterson, New Jersey. What are the roads like tonight?
Oh, everything's rolling along fine. There's some of the whackouts are out, though. You have to watch out. You know, it's Saturday night. They're out partying.
Well, I guess you're out there every Saturday night with the 18-wheeler there, right?
That's right.
And you end up seeing, I guess, a lot of things, a lot of people, right?
Sure do.
Yeah, well, I guess you might say you end up driving your life away, baby.
You got it.
All right, Johnny, thanks for calling us. Saturday night in New York.
The midnight headlight blind you on a rainy night. Steve Gray up ahead, slow me down, making no time. But I gotta keep rolling.
Jersey native country superstar Eddie Rabbitt returns to the Garden State to perform at the Aspen Manor Hotel in Parsippany.
I think country music is starting to get into the city now because I think other kinds of music are pushing it into the city, actually, I think.
The scene is North Kingstown, Rhode Island, the site of the Quonset State Airport, formerly Quonset Naval Air Station. It's the setting for our show. I'm your host, Bill Rock, and I'll be joined this afternoon by 7-time U.S. aerobatic champ and 1980 world aerobatic champion Leo Laudenschlager, and air show announcer and producer and aerobatic pilot George Meter. Now, in addition to the commentary and the visual excitement of today's aerobatic performances, we're going to take some side trips. Our first is Hammondsport, New York.
We'll drop in on the celebration of the 75th year of naval aviation at the Glenn Curtiss Museum. And we'll talk with astronaut Wally Schirra. See another aircraft designed and built by the Rutans, who flew around the world in a similar craft called Voyager. We'll take a balloon ride with world record setter Rocky Aoki. Meet the man who does a hair-raising specialty act and calls himself the Flying Farmer. Fly with the world-famous Blue Angels and meet number 6, Lieutenant David Anderson. And we'll take you flying so that you can get a wing's eye view of aerobatics. Plus, we'll see the test flight of an airplane some say flew 2 years before the Wright brothers. And the test pilot, actor Cliff Robertson.
It's all happening this afternoon right here on Air Show.
Well, that says quite a bit, Bill.
Okay.
Man, oh man, I can't really. I can't thank you enough. I just know, and this is one of the things, and I was saying before. I mean, it's like it's just amazing when you can share this stuff, because it is. I mean, you look at the wall behind you. Come on, we know that's not chroma key, but I mean, it's a hell of a career, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you for the opportunity, Steve. I really appreciate it. And again, I apologize for the voice and some of the lapses there.
Oh no, I honestly, between like I said with my dad and also with Robinson, it takes a lot to push it. So you really did push it a lot, and it's really appreciated. But
hey, Bill, if I can, in that last clip, I really appreciated you playing the segment of "Driving My Life Away" by Eddie Rabbitt, because he was my second cousin.
Oh, you look alike.
My mother was a rabbit.
Oh, there's a lot of lines to put in there.
I thought it was
He
my
was a
mother
terrific
the
guy.
car, you know?
He was a terrific guy to work with. He was very, 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 very good.
God bless you, man. Really appreciate it. Oh, I tell you guys, that's been amazing just to be able to share Bill's career with us this morning. Just incredible, and just I think we better start winding things up before we get out of here. Is there? I think we just pretty much go ahead, Jim. Are you saying goodbye or what?
I just wanted to suggest to Bill, remind him that you don't have to think that every time you're on, you have to do stuff. I mean, we'd love to have you back just to be a part of it.
Just hang, man.
Yeah.
Just hang.
I'll be happy to do that. I've done enough. I sit and watch the show every week that you do. I've done it ever since you put it on. I wanted to do this. You know, I just want to say one thing. I am absolutely amazed at the people that come on every week on this panel, because you're so knowledgeable, and especially about Connecticut radio and music too. I mean, you guys know so much more than I know about that. I'm very impressed with it.
Well, Bill, you really are. You are living proof for really what this show is all about, and that is to really like Pete Salant. I know he's still in Italy, but like you said since the very beginning, it's just it's good for the brain. It's kind of like doing a crossword puzzle. You get on here and you forget about a lot of this stuff. But man, oh man, I don't think I've met too many people with that kind of career. Oh yeah, by the way, we're in the water, then we're in the air. It's amazing. Really, really is.
I feel like it's such a privilege to be on this panel, and especially with somebody like Bill Rock, who is I think a broadcasting royalty, and to be among us. I just think it's amazing. I've always heard the name Bill Rock, and I know you worked at Big D, and I worked there for 8 years for Charlie Parker, and just to be associated with you is such an honor, Bill. I have to tell you.
I completely agree with everything you just said. Especially, we had limited interaction, Bill. I think probably when you were down at ELI and I was at PLR, but just listening and viewing all of this has been absolutely wonderful. I've got to run, but I didn't want to do that until I was able to thank you for your career, and joining us this morning.
Dick, I very much am very in awe of the stuff that you've done. Do you remember very quickly that we did a spot together?
I have a vague memory of it, but that you're talking about probably 40 some odd years ago.
You came to my studio and my old home before I bought the house on the water, and it was for a prize fight. I know it was middleweight.
Oh, you know what this was? We gave away a trip. Send your old man to see the old man defend his heavyweight championship. It was for HBO. It was a promotion we did where we had people send in the names of their fathers, and we chose somebody and flew them out to see the World Heavyweight Championship fight. And I'm trying to remember who the fighter was, but
George Foreman.
It was great. Yeah, it was George Foreman. That's right. That was you, Bill.
As a matter of fact, you called me because I gave you the spot. I had made a mistake. I said, instead of Titanic, I said it's Titanic. We brought that to my attention,
like
so I recorded it.
Even the perfect can't be perfect every time. It's great to see you, Bill.
It's great to see you too.
Thank you all, guys, for your patience. I'm actually looking at one computer and using my iPhone for the audio. It's been a weird day, so I'll catch you later. Take care.
All this stuff makes us really realize how much we love radio. Damn, video gets you every time.
Yes.
Well, you guys are great. Thank you so much. And like I said, Bill, this is just an honor to have you say that. And it's just because you were a kid lying there in the shadow, in the shadow of the towers of WDRC. And you said, someday I'm going to be able to go up there and change that light bulb on that tower. But the fact that your stick-to-itiveness, and glad you hung around the lobby that many hours and waited for Dad to go home. But
your dad has a lot of influence on me. I think all the programming I did, I'll be robbed of your father.
Well, I tell you something, all you guys, I mean, he always was so proud of all of you. Because like I said since the beginning, I always loved to see you fly. And that was one of his favorite things. And literally with you were flying. But no, thank you very much. And appreciate it. All right, guys, we got to wind things up here because Dave's going to strangle me if I go that much longer again. He already is. Dave, are you okay now? You mind if I get out of here? Dave probably got out of here. Thanks a lot, Dave. All right. That's going to do it for this edition of Radio Friends again for the 18th of October, 2024. And I'm Steve Parker. And thanks again to all of our guests. And hopefully I've been trying to fly the names up on the screen when I do this too, because we've got so many different things going on. But
hey, Steve,
yep.
Don't forget the foundation.
I will not forget the foundation. And if you have that logo still, that'd be great to throw that up when I do this. So, Dave, thanks for reminding me on that, because we know TJ Lambert introduced us to the Broadcasters Association of America. And if you ever, hopefully I got that right. Yes. But if you ever need any help out there, financial help, or you need just some emotional support or anything else, you can always turn to them, to the Broadcasters Foundation of America. And if you hit it right, you pick up a couple of good voiceover gigs, like 16 grand in one day, to Bill Rock. Just because Bill Rock did 16 grand in one day of voiceover work, boy, oh boy. All right, well, listen, so I'm going to get out of here, and we'll catch you next time on Radio Friends again. God bless you, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Your friends, Radio Friends again. Radio Friends again. We've got a lot to share.